Our candidates for chairman for the Cobb County Commission are Mike Boyce, Tim Lee, and Larry Savage. Mr. Boyce, will you please start with your opening statement?
Good evening. I'm Mike Boyce, and I am a candidate for Cobb County Chairman. And first, I want to thank the Cobb County Republican women for working with me to allow me to participate in this forum tonight. I'm in this campaign because I believe this government has little or no desire to hear the voices of the people. There is one simple question that has to be answered. Why can we vote on two $40 million park bonds, but not on a $350 million stadium bond? It is the question that my team of volunteers and I have heard at more than 17,000 doors and more than 26,000 phone calls. In short, what May 24th represents is a delayed referendum of what it means to be a representative government. Is this a democracy or is it not? Is this a republic or is it not? The deal only makes sense if it's considered as a business proposition. There are those who believe the government should be run as a business. I do not believe that. The purpose of government is to deliver services that are paid for by your taxes. A government is led by a public servant, and I bring to that chairmanship a lifetime of public service. As shown by my working with veterans to bring them to obtain veterans benefits and health care that they have earned, volunteer work with Habitat for Humanity, Kiwanis, and other organizations, public service remains a way of life for me. In a way, my 5 years of undergraduate and graduate work, plus more than 4 years of military training, including the Naval War College, and background in budgets, strategic planning, business, and leadership, have all led me to preparation for this as your next chairman. I'm mindful of the challenge and responsibilities that come with that position, but believe I'm prepared for it. I look forward to your questions tonight.
Chairman Lee, your opening statement.
Hey, Linda. Good evening and welcome. And I'm very much appreciative to the Cobb County Republican Women's Club for holding this forum tonight. The chairmanship of Cobb County is about leadership, and leadership is exemplified in progress over the terms in which we've served. Since I've become chairman 5 years ago, we were at one of the worst times historically in our financial history. Since then, we fought through it, made hard, tough decisions in order to maintain a balanced budget, one that's recognized by Wall Street with a AAA rating in each year. We've had 3 tax cuts in 3 years, fulfilling my promise. We've had historic investment in public safety. We've had redevelopment of Canton Road in the South Cobb area. We've reduced the water transfer rate to the lowest in over a decade. We could successfully pass 2 SWAS, major source of investment in our infrastructure in Cobb County. We've had billions of dollars, private dollars, invested in our community. And we have the lowest employment rate in Cobb County since early 2008. I believe we've taken a necessary step, made the hard decisions as a leader and as a leadership team to make sure and ensure that Cobb County has the investment in public safety, the ability to deliver quality of services, and to have a community in which everyone could be proud to call home and call Cobb County the place they're from. I appreciate the opportunity to have served these last 5 years, although they've been somewhat difficult in some regards because of the economy. But we stepped up, we were there for the challenge, and I think we successfully have gone through it. We're not quite there yet, but I believe we're going to get there very, very soon. My name is Tim Lee, and I would appreciate so much your support in returning myself to the chairman's office for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Mr. Savage, your opening statement, please.
Thank you. I'm Larry Savage, and I am also a candidate for chairman of the Cobb County Board of Commissioners. I was born and raised in Atlanta. I put myself through college as a co-op student at a school called General Motors Institute in Flint, Michigan. It's now known as Kettering University. I put myself through Georgia State, working a full-time job during the day and taking a full course load at night, and earned an MBA in 1970. I spent 40 years in big industry, primarily in the automobile sector, working for a couple of big multinational companies, first General Motors and then a company called Henkel from Germany. I've owned 5 small businesses over the years. But for the past 6 years, I have made myself a student of the Cobb County government, much to the discontent of some of the folks in the Cobb County government. I have watched closely. I have been to hundreds of meetings within the government and outside other organizations that deal with Cobb County government. I have digested thousands of pages of documents. I've read everything I could find from original sources, not secondhand, because that's how you really begin to understand what's going on. You have to have factual information directly, or as close as possible, directly from the source. I know what works. I've seen what doesn't work. And I've seen things that need work. Altogether, this makes me, I think, the best prepared, the best informed, and the best qualified person, not just in this race, but to ever seek a seat on the Cobb County Board of Commissioners. I appreciate your support. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, and I welcome your support in the election on May 25th. Larry Savage for chairman.
All right, thank you, candidates. Now we will begin the questioning segment. You each will have 1 minute to respond, and you'll get a 30-second warning, and the bell will ring when your time is up. The first question will be from Charlie Harper.
Thank you, Linda. And to think I was worried we might have an elephant in the room before those opening statements, but let's just go ahead and get it out there. The defining moment of this term of the commission chairman has been bringing the Braves to Cobb County. How history judges that is largely going to be determined from the next 4 years of the chairman. It's the execution time. The first pitch in that stadium is going to be by whoever the voters decide. Clearly, the taxpayers have now money invested, as does private investment. It's a transformational thing around that area. So can you tell us about, as chairman during the next term, when this becomes a reality, and is it the construction cranes we currently see, what's your plan to either take advantage of this if you see it as a plus, or to minimize the cost and risk if you're still seeing it as a negative? Because the decision has been made, so we're going to have to move forward one way or the other. So I'd like to hear very specifically about what's next for this project that everyone's invested in, rather than looking backwards at things that won't be changed. So for the next 4 years and beyond, what's next for both the Cobb Commission chairman as it relates in the Braves community, Cumberland, CID, the whole area there?
All right, we'll start with Chairman Lee.
Thank you. Well, the Braves project is the biggest public-private partnership this community has seen in decades. It's a project that is already spurred economic growth like we haven't seen in a long, long time. Fortunately, also, our commitment towards that project is capped. So we're fortunate in as much as we have a catalyst project that's creating significant investment in our community that already has exceeded our expectations from revenue associated with the funding, and has exceeded our expectations for investment. In the last few years alone, since the announcement, we've had announcement of 5 new Class A office towers moving forward as a result of the investment of the Braves in their project. I'm going to continue to work to foster the growth, jobs, and opportunities for the entire county, while we keep our services at a level that Cobb County has come to expect, and to help manage growth and continue to grow jobs in Cobb County.
Mr. Savage.
You know, I said this at the GOP fish fry the other day, that the stadium is the stadium. It's coming along very nicely. It's going to be a spectacular facility. And no matter what your view of it has been up to this point, we now are in a position where we own it, and we can choose, do we want to own it as a success or as a failure? So we're all, I think, going to have to find ourselves in a position doing everything possible to make it as successful as possible. And that being said, though, we can't leave behind the past altogether, because the past has left a little bit of a mess on the table. The door is now open for the county commission here or anywhere in this state or any city in this state to borrow as much money as they want to borrow without a referendum ever. All they have to do is follow the template that was laid down here in Cobb County on the stadium deal. In its opinion, the Supreme Court of Georgia said that the county has pushed the law about as far as it can go. And what that means is there's nothing left. As long as they put the pieces in place the same way they were put in place here, they can borrow money.
Mr. Boyce.
Well, first of all, let's talk about the good things. It is going to transform the 41 corridor. But let's also give credit where credit's due, and that's a magnificent job done by the Chamber with its EDGE program. This wasn't done simply by the county. This is a lot of people in the business community working together under the tutelage and leadership of David Connell and the Chamber. So it's not about the development down there. It's about how it came about. And to say that there won't be any changes, that's just not true. Because I'm committed to open and transparent government to all of you in my administration. And this deal was nothing that even resembled open and transparent government. So the bottom line is, there was $14 million of infrastructure improvements that were supposed to be come about as a result of the stadium. We're already over $20 million. So there's a lot of openness and transparency that has to be done yet to make sure that this county spends its tax dollars wisely on what's going to be probably a great investment for the 41 corridor.
All right, the second question is from Chuck Clay.
Again, thank you, and thank you for all who vie out there in for political office. I take my hat off to you. I haven't been there on both sides, winning and losing, but you all, one of the three of you is going to be the next, I guess, leader of the most important job in Cobb County in defining what we look like. Even going one step further, take the Brave Stadium out of it. My 30-second aside, 86, 87, when I was a West Cobb commissioner, there was no Barrett Parkway, there was no West Cobb Loop. Wayne Shackford came and talked to me about building a regional mall up on Roberts Road, which was a 2-lane road in Kennesaw with a 1-lane bridge. Some of y'all might remember. And I thought, this got to be the dumbest son of a gun I've ever seen in my life. Of course, that's why he went on to be worth about $100 million, and I'm still Mrs. Clay's idiot son, Chuck. But the fact of the matter is, we at one point in time had to make a decision. I had no clue what that Barrett Parkway, West Cobb Loop, all of that would mean in terms of this part of the county, good or bad. And so just a very quick sort of thumbnail sketch in the vision piece out there. What's the next big game changer overall when you're balancing quality of life versus jobs versus economic development versus future? And I just love to hear your views.
The first person to answer will be Mr. Savage.
I don't know if I can tell you what the next big game changer is, because if I could, I might be the next guy worth $100 million. But I can tell you that the world today is following the lead of a lot of urban planners. Georgia Tech is milling out urban planners by the carload in bachelor's degrees and master's degrees. And they are forming consultancies, and they come and work for county governments and make plans for them. The number of plans that are drawn up, transit-oriented development plans, and I don't know, there are a variety of names for them. It's just mind-boggling sometimes. I don't think that's going to take us where we need to go. I think we're going to have to wait and see the next entrepreneurial development, and I think it's going to be in the world of transportation. I think we're going to see things like autonomous cars take over and make obsolete the whole concept of major developed rail corridors and that sort of thing.
Chairman Lee.
Definitely.
First of all, thank you, and I want to thank Mike Boyce for pointing out that the EDGE program is what was the beginning driver for economic development. I was one of the leaders in that group and was actually recognized with the Mac Henderson Award from the Chamber of Commerce for my leadership role in bringing that competitive EDGE project together. So thank you for pointing out that that was a good decision. The next big game changer, I think, is implementing and executing what's in front of us. I think the Braves opportunity in Kennesaw State University and how it's growing, what's happening down in West Cobb with the Six Flags area. You know, Six Flags theme park actually brings more folks to Cobb County than the Atlanta Braves will. And it's over here in Cobb County. I think as we explore the opportunities in Town Center Mall to make that a job center for those folks in Paulding and Cherokee County and Bartow who are coming into our community to work, and then continue to work with the cities to make sure they're robust and make sure the cities have good infrastructure in and out. So I think those will be some of the best catalytic projects moving forward. And done.
Mr. Boyce.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm hearing at the door, Chuck. And that's that people are very concerned about the development of Cobb County. They see lots of examples of how this development is having an impact on their lives, and they're very concerned about the direction of it. It's not that they're opposed to development. They just want to have a bigger and wider discussion about that development and where it's going, the impact it's having on traffic, the impact it's having on stormwater, the impact it's having on economic growth. So it's a wide-ranging question. It's just sort of a burbling out there, but I can sense it, I can hear it, and I think that we need to address that in a way, and that's on my platform on my website, is that we need to have a wider, more open forum about this issue, bring more people to the table, look hard at perhaps restructure the 24 plan engagement, and the land use plan is some examples that we can jump on that are already existing structures that we can go look at the way ahead.
Our third question is from Jim Galloway.
Gentlemen, you're lucky. You've heard this question before if you were sitting in the back of the room. And I gotta be honest, from the previous panel, I didn't get quite the answer that I was looking for. I want you gentlemen for the next minute to wax philosophical. Tell us what your vision is for transportation in Cobb County in the next 10 to 15 years. Tell us where you're taking us, where you want to take us. Does it involve rail? Does it involve buses? Does it involve Uber? Or as Mr. Savage says, is it about Google cars that take us wherever we want to go? Do you favor Cobb becoming part of a state-driven, coordinated Metro Atlanta transit network?
All right, we'll begin with Mr. Boyce.
All in 1 minute. Thank you. First of all, we don't live in an island here. If we just lived in Cobb County or an island, we could deal with most of these traffic issues. I'm not saying we'd solve all of them, but the reality, we're surrounded by Cherokee, Bartow, and Paulding County, and the rate that they develop out there has a huge impact upon us. Secondly, as you saw in the paper today, let's put this issue about the BRT to bed. We should throw it out there for referendum. So at least if we're not going to do the BRT, then we can look at some other engagement. Because we think we have to address the mass transit issue. We have to move people from one section of the county to the other. And the third thing is it goes back to my last answer, we need to look at development, because that's an impact on the traffic. They're all tied together. So it's a very complicated equation. It's going to take some time. It's not going to be solved in a year, but it's something I'm committed to addressing openly and in transparent form.
Chairman Lee.
Thank you. Transportation is a conversation that the folks have been having for decades, especially here in the Atlanta region, and we've been trying to holistically and regionally look at a solution. I think one of the reasons you didn't get a direct answer before is it's a complicated question to answer, but what we are doing, we are currently spending $1.2 billion in improvements currently, unprecedented in our ability to address a wide variety of different transportation issues. We have about $280 million in SPOS projects currently scheduled for the next 6 years. As it relates to alternatives, I think we need to do more in our commuter bus system. And the state's investment in the reversible lane project is going to help significantly in that regard. We have quite a few folks, as we mentioned earlier, coming out of Bartow and out of Cherokee County that travel through our community, and being able to utilize a commuter bus system that utilizes the managed lane project, I think will help our general purpose lane, which is a major corridor thoroughfare for the community. So it's a wide ranging, it's a complicated question, but I think we're moving in the right direction with some of the solutions we have on the table today.
All right, Mr. Savage.
Well, when you talk about regional solutions, I'd like to say, first of all, the idea that local governments do not coordinate their transportation systems is not correct, because we don't have any roads that stop the county line. Of course there's coordination, there always has been. And it may not always be perfect, but there is coordination. When you talk about coordination with the Atlanta Regional Commission managing it, you get into a different situation, because the transportation proposals, going back to the T-SPLOS, were proposals that were not targeting traffic congestion problems that we already have. They were proposals to build transit systems that would promote new development in places where connected people would profit. We see that the Atlanta Regional Commission current chairman is a development guy. The previous chairman was a development guy. They've even consolidated more power in the hands of the chairman of the ARC. And I don't personally think that we're going to ever see a lot of interest in coordinating through ARC until ARC is reestablished with a somewhat more independent structure.
Our final question is from Charlie Harper.
First, thanks to Linda. She's been doing this, and it looks, it's a lot harder than it is. I've been in her chair before, so you'll give her thanks for keeping us on time almost. Blame us for being a little bit behind. Real quick, we had the other commissioners up there, East Cobb, we talked a lot about Cumberland. Y'all are gonna be chairman of all of Cobb County. Pick an issue, you've got 1 minute, but talk about something in the rest of Cobb, the South Cobb. One of those things that we never really get into because the press doesn't get there. What are your needs for outside that region we've been talking about?
And the first answer goes to Mr. Savage.
Well, I think we're probably gonna come back to the subject of green space and the kind of amenities that families like. You know, we've got this dichotomy developing where we're gonna have people wanting to develop high-rise communities and high-density communities in places like Cumberland and Town Center, but yet Cobb County remains a suburban oriented place with an awful lot of families who want a lawn and a backyard and a place for their kids to play. Those things, I think, are going to be in conflict with each other for some time to come. And frankly, I hope that the suburban style of the front yard and the backyard and a place for the kids to play is going to prevail. And one of the steps that we're going to have to take in that area is to protect and preserve green space and things like historical artifacts.
Mr. Boyce.
Well, again, I can only go to the 17,000 doors and 26,000 phone calls that our team has made. People are really upset about the manner that this deal for the stadium was forced down upon us. This is not an issue that has died. But the other lingering issue that is, like I said, is burning along is development, particularly in West Cobb and some areas along the west of 75 up in District 3. They're concerned about the fact that the land use plan is now not being followed in development. That commissioners are overriding the land use plan to put in developments that they never agreed to when they bought the space. That goes again back to our commissioners or our board members listening to them. Do they hear our voices? And that's the real underlying issue, not just on the stadium, but on development. There's a sense that, like across the nation, we've elected people that have been in their offices too long and need to move on.
Chairman Lee.
Thank you. I think the single issue that I'd like to talk about, which is in front of Cobb County, is the continued conservative, fiscal, responsible government that we have. I think we need to continue to work on my track record that I've established of keeping low taxes, investing in public safety, and doing the best we can to provide quality services at the lowest possible cost. We've been recognized as one of the most conservative financial communities in the region and in the country, I may say, and we need to continue to work on that effort as well. So the investment that we're going to continue to make in our transportation and creating jobs, quality jobs, I think is paramount. But the driving force is to be able to reduce taxes, keep our spending low, and keep investment in public safety.
Candidates will now give their 2-minute closing statement. We'll begin with Mr. Boyce.
Thank you to the Cobb County Republican women for working with me tonight. I know for those who don't know, originally was not going to be able to make it tonight, but thanks to Rose and Donna and regular members of the board, they changed the forum so that I could be here tonight, and I really appreciate that because I'm an associate member of the county, of the organization, and nobody wants to get on the wrong side of Donna. The questions facing the voters in the primary are ones that are as old as our republic. What kind of government do we want, and what kind of person we want leading it? I am convinced that the American people inherently want to believe in their leaders. They recognize that they're laying in the hands of their leaders an immense responsibility of representing them. Because of this extraordinary commission, public officials are held and should be held to a higher standard. When this standard is violated, regardless of the magnitude of the act, then cracks grow in that bond of trust between the people and their leader. I believe that is what we have now, not just here, but across the land. There's a growing unrest that our voices are not being heard. It's time for change, and I believe that with my background and commitment to open and transparent government, I'm prepared to lead Cobb into the future. So I ask for your vote on May 24th. Again, I'm Mike Boyce, candidate for Cobb County Chairman. Thank you very much.
Mr. Savage.
From my 6 years of study of the Cobb County government, I already knew that there were issues. I had some familiarity with the government sections of state law and the state constitution. In 2013, I woke one morning to the news about the stadium, and then I quickly got hold of anything I could find about it, including a memorandum of understanding and the breakdown on how the thing was going to be funded. And I saw the part about the special districts and special taxes that were being created. I immediately felt that that was probably not lawful, the way it was described. I started to do research. I became convinced it was not lawful. And my research also took me through sections of the state constitution where the taxpayers are given protections in the state constitution. The protections are to protect us from government excess. Specifically, the Constitution gives us a very clear protection against debt. Debt on the part of local governments requires a vote by the people, a referendum call for that purpose. It couldn't be written in a more clear language. But in Cobb County, the decision was made. We've got a lawyer that can get us around that requirement to vote. And so they did. So we lost our right to vote to control debt. In 1957, it was the early stages of the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King made a speech in Washington, and he used over and over again the term, give us the vote. Actually, he said, give us the ballot, but it means give us the chance to vote, and we'll take care of a lot of these problems. We have lost the chance to vote by an act of our government. There's nothing more precious in our way of life than our voting rights. And anybody who messes with our voting rights is messing with the backbone of our society. When government at any level tinkers with your most basic and most precious rights, you have to see the need to stand up.
Larry did a good job.
I did stand up. I did go to court. I did defend our right to vote. And I'll continue to do that.
All right, Chairman Lee,
Who said that?
please refrain from commenting. Chairman Lee.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank the Cobb County Republican Women's Club for this candidate forum as well, and appreciate the opportunity. The last 6 years have been very humbling for me, a very difficult time to lead one of the greatest counties in this state, and I appreciate the trust that the community put in me when I elected me as your chairman 4 years ago, and I'm asking you to put that trust in me again to move forward. In the last 6 years, we've moved through one of the most difficult times in our history. During that time, we've been able to create more jobs. We've been able to invest in our community. We've been able to create redevelopment opportunities throughout this county. We've been able to reduce the water transfer. We've been able to reduce taxes. We're at a point where we've had historic investment by the private community in our community. And folks across this country and across this world are looking at Cobb County.
You're watching Cobb County's Government Access Channel.